Welcome back to the Coloring Book channel. Today I'm going to tackle another wildlife sketch, this one of a deer, of course. After I recently completed the lion, thought I'd give a deer a try. And but today I'm going to use markers. I'm using these Selamoon markers and also Art of the Marker Shuttle Art markers. So I'll be using a mix of those. I've got little color charts laid out here of each one of them. And then I have some of these are the shuttle art, various colors, but I'm mostly picking browns today. And then I've got this handy little scratch pad that I'm gonna identify the colors on before I use them. See if I can get a better shot at getting the right color the first time. So with that introduction, let's get going. I'm going to start with 413. It's really light. You can see it there. And even on this sheet, I've got it marked. It's really light. It looks like a light brown, light yellow. I'm going to start with just coloring much of the deer with this light, very light brown, a little bit of yellow color, and see if I have any success at all with layering my browns on deer like I had with the lion. I had a lot of success with the lion. I thought that looked really well. Came out pretty well. So I thought I'd try this with the deer and markers. So first thing I'm doing is I'm just kind of laying down a base of this very, very light brown. The deer has some white right on his face, and so I'm trying to not cover up that white. I'm going to do it with this, working around his face with this very light. This color is called eggshell. So it's almost white itself, but I'm hoping that by starting with this color, really light, working it on here, that I can use a darker shade to overcolor and get a nice effect with some blending of colors. Okay, so there's that. Kind of done his face. The pictures that I have of deer out in the wildlife, their ears on the inside are very white, along with a patch under their neck. So I'm going to try and leave that alone and get some white in there. Don't cover up the white with too much color, but just enough to bring out that white. Okay, that looks pretty good. Gonna also do the orange with that same color, or the antlers, that is. Now, if you're watching this video looking for color, you're going to see, at least initially, very little change to the color of the deer. So that's my 413 silk, I think I said it was, eggshell. Now looking at these other colors, like 415 I'm going to jump to. 415 is called raw silk. And I'm going to go over much of this with the same color. I'm coloring over some of that first color I laid down, but not all of it. I'm hoping some of that light color will remain. Trying hard not to overdo it with this color, but instead put down a little bit along the horns. And you see, this right here confuses me because it looks like this plant here comes right out of the antlers, but I think that's in the background, so I kind of made a mistake there. When I go back and do that background color, I'll probably use like a dark green and just cover that right up, like a forest green. Okay, then I'm going to go to his back, which I just touched hardly a little bit of this first color on his back. Now I'm going to do a little bit more. These spots on his back, usually associated with very young deer, are white. So I'm trying not to color those up. I'll cover those up. We'll see how they look after I get a little bit more color on. Okay, so did I get all of that? I think I don't remember. I don't think I got any of this ear. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I think I'm ready for a darker brown. So I was going to use a couple more of these, but I think I'm going to skip that. I used the 413 eggshell. I can jump to the 415. I'm going to use a much darker brown. Looking over here on my chart, I think I'm going to use the 410. 410 is called Cocoa. Okay, so here's where it gets exciting. First, I'm going to stick right on top of this really dark color that whoever drew the sketch made this really dark with a lot of black ink. So I'd really prefer that when they sketch this, they didn't use quite a dark of a black ink here, but that would allow me to have a little more flexibility with the colors that I use. But as I put this brown on, I can see it's a beautiful brown. I'm trying to draw it on here and not just fill it all in, so that some of the other colors are still peeking out. I'm trying to put this really dark, put this brown right on top of the dark, so maybe when it dries, instead of looking black, it will look brown, which is preferred in my case. And you can see the edges of his horns are white, and I'm trying not to cover that up. If I had gone with a really dark brown early, then I'd have no ability to just layer on here a lighter brown. But with markers, they tend to fill in all space, so I have to be careful because it does look very good. But I want some of that earlier color I put in to bleed through here. And a little oops here on that antler. Some of it got outside the lines, which is nice. It's okay to color outside the lines, it's just usually doesn't look as nice. It's a little sloppy if I get careless. Looking pretty good. What do you think? Think that's looking good? Not sure what I think about this so far. There's a strong temptation to fill in the brown with a marker and just kind of make it all that one new color brown. I think it might look better on some, but I'm avoiding that and just slipping the brown in here a bit, but not all the way. We'll see. I'll see what it looks like when it dries a little bit, and then I will come back if need be. Sometimes you have to put some color on, especially with markers. Let it dry a little bit and then see what it looks like. Okay, so there's his antlers. Now I'm going to come back here and work in a little bit of this brown into his ears. Okay, now, so I've kind of got this brown worked in back here, and I want to bring some of this up into there, but I don't want to use this same brown. So, this one was the 410 Cocoa. Let's try 417. It's a light walnut, it says. So I want to be really careful. I think I have a brown that has a little bit of red in it. Here's one called Wine Red. Let's see what that looks like. I think that might work. Back to this 410 Cocoa. Put that right in the middle of his eyes. So that they're not quite so black. Ah, here it is, Cocoa. I think that looks pretty good for now. I'm going to let that sit. And then I'm going to do the background and then come back and look at it again. Okay, now that I've got most of the deer browns worked in, I'm going to try and go over this with a very light green and start with the leaves. Once again, I want to have many colors of green in this, not just one color of green. But the only way to accomplish that successfully is to put down a really light color of green first, and then look for complementary greens that you can fill in beside it. And some of these plants behind the deer are almost ghost-like the way the artist drew them. So I'm going to use this really light cream, let's see, mint green, and I'm going to fill in all of these little ghosts with that, along with many of the leaves here in the background. And then I'll come back through with maybe a darker color and fill in some of those where it seems like it should. And sometimes when you're coloring like this, especially with markers, you just kind of have to experiment. But you have to be patient, because I find if I get in a hurry and I pick a nice vibrant green, and once I put that down, I don't have anywhere to go. I'll have dark bright green in there right away, and then all I can do is cover that up with more dark bright green, so that's not the best. Okay. And you can see these, if you can see these light green plants, they're just barely drawn on the page. This is one of them that got me confused before. So I'll probably make him a little darker than the others so that he shows up as a plant and not as part of an antler. And you're looking at this on the video, you may not even be able to see these lines that I'm coloring in because they're so faint. That's okay. Around the deer's face are not very much fun to color, especially with this very light green. But I'm thinking once I get all this green laid down, it may be tons of fun to color in individual leaves here. Have each one of them pop out with a little bit of their own personality. Green. Having a hard time finding a green that I like here for these leaves and stuff in the background. This one's pretty close, but it's so dark, I'm afraid to use it. It's a little too dark for what I want. This is the problem, you get so many colors, but you need a few more.